to a great start. Because you're bringing the energy and I'm going to need it the whole time. And because you brought the energy, we all just made some money. Because I bet my buddies over here that I would get a standing ovation today. So we're all going to get paid because I'm going to share with you. All right? But it gets better. Because today, you're going to get to be part of one of the greatest stories that will ever be told. And the best part is that you're going to be the hero of the story. Because we all love a story. We all love heroes. Remember when you were a little kid, and that person in your life that you remember, they said, come on, I'll tell you a story. And you climbed into bed and you were excited, or you sat on their lap, and they told you about heroes that overcome adversity. And then when you got to kindergarten, the teacher said, if you're good, I'll tell you a story. And so you did everything you could to be good because you wanted to hear a story. And the teacher would say, all right, it's story time. And you'd say, yes! So I'm going to say, it's story time, and then you guys say, yes. You ready? It's story time! Yes! It's story time! Yes! Not bad. All right? Because this is going to be an interactive discussion. And I'm going to have to get a lot of energy from you today. And it might make you feel uncomfortable, like the slide said. Because sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to grow. Sometimes, to be the hero, you have to run toward the fire, whereas the extraordinary person runs away from it. So we're going to have story time today. You guys are going to be the heroes. Because again, imagine if 1,500 people in here all fulfilled the role of being the hero that you were born to be. How exciting would that story be? That story would be told all over the world. And they'd say 1,500 people in a room, all committed to being a hero that they were born to be. And that's an amazing story. So you have to commit to that story today. And you have to have accountability. And you have to turn to someone and say, I commit. And then you have to take massive action. And you have to do it right now if you want your seat at the table. Because last year, I sat exactly where you are. How many of you came to the Stronger Business Summit last year? All right? It was awesome, right? Great speakers. I was sitting in there. I was writing notes. I was highlighting things. I was underlining things. I had big letters on certain things. And the ones that stood out to me when I look back on my notes, accountability, massive action, right now, seat at the table. And I sat there and I said, I got to do these things. Those words spoke to me. Because a lot of times we go to a conference like this, right? We get all excited. We go home, we read some motivational books, we listen to some podcasts, and then we go to work and we tell everyone, oh, I was at this conference. It was awesome. We got to change everything. Or you go home and you're like, all right, kids, it's going to be awesome. We got to do this. And then usually it tapers off, right? So I said, I got to do these things. I got to hold myself accountable to be the hero that I was born to be. I got to take massive action to write my story every day. I got to do it right now. Because I want a seat at the table. And when I was sitting there, I thought, I would love to tell stories one day in front of a group. Now, I've never spoken to a group in my life. I was a school teacher for 10 years. So I had 30, 35 kids 5 times a day. But I've never spoken to a big group before. But I said, I would love to be on a stage like that one day. So I called the organizer of the Stronger Business Summit. I said, it was great. I said, one day, I would like to be a speaker at the Stronger Business Summit. And they said, all right, we'll let you know. And then I called again. And I said, hey, what about Stronger Business Summit? They said, all right, we'll let you know. And I kept calling. And I was taking massive action. And one day, the phone rang, and I got the call. And in life, when you get the call, that's your opportunity. It's knocking at your door. And you can't say, who's there? You just got to rush the door and go in and find your seat at the table, because that door oftentimes closes and somebody else is in your seat. So I said, yes, I'll do it. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I had no idea where I was going to talk. But they said, Lorraine, you're a good salesperson. You're number one guy around here in sales, and you tell funny stories, so it'll be great. Don't worry about it. And I said, well, I don't know. All right. But the next day, as luck would have it, the organizer of the Stronger Business Summit, Chad, he went to Africa. True story, okay? So he was 25 hours on a flight. And he got in the Jeep, he's looking at the zebras. He was on safari. He went to Uganda and saw the silverback gorillas. Great trip, right? And here I am in Athens, trying to figure out what I'm going to say and where I'm going to say it. And then right there, it hit me. Accountability, massive action, seat at the table, right now. So I got on the phone, I started texting people, I put it on social media. I am going to be speaking at the Stronger Business Summit, and I'm going to be on the main stage. And I sent that out to everyone, and people called me like, what? That's incredible. Like, you've never done public speaking before. And I said, that's right. It's amazing. And I put it out there, and people were giving me like likes on Facebook and all those other little hearts on Instagram and all that. And I'm like, oh crap, now I got to do it, right? And poor Chad is in Africa. He doesn't know anything about it, all right? He's in the jungle waiting for the silverback to attack him, all right? Now, admittedly, when Chad got home, it was a little bit of an awkward discussion, but we worked it out, right? And here I am, okay? So sometimes you got to take massive action. And you got to make your story grow. And sometimes your story needs to change a little bit. Part of my story is that I grew up in New York. All right, everybody here from New York? All right, we got it. Go Yankees, right? All right. You can always tell a lot of people they're real proud of being from New York, all right? But I grew up in New York. And in New York, a common expression, a common greeting is, hey, what's your story? All right? It's like 4 words pushed together into one, all right? Because we talk fast. You try it. Hey, what's your story? New York people, you're going to have to help them, all right? It's got a little southern twang to it, but that's all right, okay? And a common response to, hey, what's your story, is forget about it. All right? You try it. Yeah. That's better. All right, that's good. All right, you guys got that pretty good, okay? But when I was little, I would say, why do I want to forget about it? I love stories. I love story time. I want to hear your story, and I want you to hear mine. And I didn't understand why people would say, forget about it. When I was 15, my story in New York changed, and then I decided I wanted a different story. So I moved away from home, 1,000 miles away, in with people that I didn't really know very well. And they took me in. When I was 18, I moved to another country, and my story changed. And I even changed my name when I was there. When I was 23, I was living on a couch in a duplex in Chamblee, Georgia. I had no money and my buddies put me up, but that was part of my story. When I was 34, I was unemployed. And then, about 10 years ago, my story changed forever. Because one of my best friends died of cancer at the age of 37. And he died at 5:55 in the morning. And I'll always have that number in my heart and in my head. And every morning, my alarm rings at 5:55. And I take gratitude for that day. And I say, David, I'm going to write another chapter of my story today, because you can. Now, granted, I get up a lot earlier than that most days. And I jump out of bed. And I think about all the things that I get to do that day. Because I used to think about the things that I have to do. Now I say, hey, I get to go exercise. I get to go to work. I get to drive my kids around. I get to deal with people's problems. And when I change that mindset from I have to I get to, everything sort of opened up. In your story, are you growing? Because if your story is not growing, then you can't sell anything. Because ultimately, when they asked me to talk about sales, I said, there's no secret sauce. There's no silver bullet. Sales is the value proposition that you bring to anything. Now, a lot of people might say, well, I'm not in sales. We are all in sales. Because when you want someone to love you, you have to sell them on you and your value proposition. If you want someone to hire you, you're selling them on you and your value proposition. If you're trying to sell a product, you're the value proposition. Because most likely, I can buy your product 3 other places in this town, or Amazon can bring it to me by noon tomorrow. But I want to be involved with you, and that's why I buy from you, or that's why I have a relationship with you, because you're bringing the growth and the energy that I want to be around. Now you think about some of the products that a lot of us grew up with, right? Kodak camera. We bought a Kodak camera. We bought Kodak film. We went to the Kodak store. It was great. But Kodak did not adapt. And now they're irrelevant. And that's kind of sad. And you think about Friday night used to be Blockbuster night. There's one on every corner, it seemed like, right? And they could have bought Netflix. They turned it down because they weren't willing to adapt. They weren't willing to grow. And now they're irrelevant. And that's kind of sad. And I think about Tennessee football. And they have not adapted. And they're irrelevant. And that makes me happy. All right. So I'm asking you to be the hero of your story, to commit to growing every day, because it's going to be hard to do that now, but it's going to be harder to one day get a tap on the shoulder and someone says, hey, honey, can we talk? Or somebody says, hey, the boss needs to see you in the big office. Or your customer says, we're going to go in another direction. Those will be hard conversations to have. But if you put in everything you can every day to your story, to be the hero that you can be, that you were born to be, imagine how great a story that would be. And people would say, I would pay $15 to see that on the big screen. And I'd pay $8 to get some popcorn and $7 to get a Coke, and I would watch your story on the big screen. Or someone somewhere else, far away, would sit down with their little kid, and they would read a story about you. How powerful would that be? That you were the hero of the story, because you went all in on you. And you said to yourself, I only have so much time to write this story. I got to be all in on me every day. Think about some of the products that have reinvented themselves. Think about Nike, Air Jordans. Michael Jordan hasn't played basketball in 20 years, but people are buying his shoes for like $7,000 on the secondary market, right? Because he created a story, and they have fed that story, and people want that story. And you've never seen anybody post an Instagram story about a closet full of Reeboks. There is no story there, right? No story. Next month, the iPhone 13 is coming out. And people, I mean smart people, rich people, are going to lay down on the sidewalk in Chicago and sleep outside for 2 nights to get the iPhone 13. And as they go to sleep, the iPhone 12 is going to be buzzing in their pocket. And they're going to be like, I got to be part of the story of the iPhone 13. And these are smart people, right? But you've never heard of anyone sleeping on the sidewalk for a Motorola phone, because there's no story. So as you create your story and you make your story grow, are you willing to go all in? Are you willing to make your story something that captivates people, that they want to be part of that story, that they have to have your story? Because if you don't believe in your story, then why would anybody else believe in it? If you're not all in, then why would I be all in on your story? I think about one of the iconic American people in history, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali looked in the camera and they said, "Ali, what's your story?" And he said, "I am the greatest." And they said, "What?" And he said, "I am the greatest. I am the greatest." And people started to believe him because Ali believed it. And the more people believed it, the stronger Ali grew. And even his competitors started to believe it. He said, "I am the greatest." Now you try it. I am the greatest. You try it. I am the greatest. Be louder than Ali. I am the greatest. It's a little uncomfortable, right? Because you were taught to be humble. You were not taught to stand up and say, "I am the greatest," right? But the little kid in you was like, yes. When you heard that story, you're like, I want to be like that hero. I want to be invincible. And then somewhere along the line, we were told, tamp it down a little bit. Don't be brash. You can't be the greatest. You got to be extraordinary. But I'm telling you, forget about it. Forget about that part of the story. Because you can be the greatest, but you got to go all in on you. Last time you went to the lake, imagine this. You've been to the lake, everyone here, one time or another. And when you got there were little kids and they were running off the dock. They were jumping in the water, right? And it didn't matter because they didn't have a care in the world. But as adults, we sit there, we go near the dock, we put our toe in the water, ooh, right? And then someone's like, "Hey, is it cold?" Right? And you're like, "Yeah, it's cold." Right? And the kids are in there, they're having a great time, they're swimming because they don't care. Because no one's taught them any different. They don't know it's cold, right? And so finally, you take that hero's plunge and you jump off the dock and you land in the water. And yeah, it's cold. Right? But then what do you say? It's all right. Once you get used to it, right? Once you get used to it, it's all right. It's not so bad. And that's what the hero has to do. Because when you go to the movies and you watch the hero is usually uncertain of herself or himself. They don't come out and start up here. The hero gets knocked down. The hero is not sure of their superpowers until they have to use them. And when you say to yourself, I am the hero of my story, and I'm going to use my superpowers, and I'm going to jump in that water. And yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I've committed to it. I'm all in. Then you're one of the little kids again, right? You're swimming around, you're having fun, and then you start yelling at other people. You're like, hey, come on, it's not so bad. And then you bring other people into the hero fold. And that's powerful. You can do this if you go all in. And so when somebody says to you, what's your value proposition? It's you. I come with the deal. That's what you're bringing to the table. But you got to believe it first. And you got to say, I am the greatest. Now, I've told you, I'm going to ask you to be uncomfortable. So I need everybody to stand up. Everybody stand up. Stand up, come on. I need you. I need you. I want to hear you say, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. Now get a little more uncomfortable. Put your hands in the air and say, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. Louder. I am the greatest. Now, stay standing. I'll ask you one more request. Accountability. I'm holding you accountable. Massive action. I'm not going to ask you something that you're not going to like. Maybe you're going to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to ask you to do it right now. This seat at the table right here. I want you to come up here and put your hands in the air with me and say, I am the greatest. Right here, right now. Come on. Come on. Don't be shy. Come on. Come on. I need you. Come on. I need you. Massive action. Right here, right now. Come on. I am the greatest. Come on. Come on. I am the greatest. Come on, everybody. Everybody. Right now. Come take your seat at the table. Take massive action. Come on. Don't be a spectator. Be the star. Be the hero that you were born to be. Come on. There's room for everybody. Right now. Massive action. Let's go. Come on. Come to the front. Come on. Don't be sad. Come on. Let me do this. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come to the front. Everybody. Come on, don't be shy in the back. Come on to the front. Yes, 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 yes. Right. Come on. We'll make room for you. Come be the hero. All right. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Come on. Yes. Come on, be a hero.
Hey y'all, for those of you that are coming on the stage and you can't find any room, there's room behind the big letters near the back of the stage.
Hands in the air. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I am the greatest. Be the hero that you were born to be. I am the greatest. This is your seat at the table, people. If you want to be the star, the hero of your own story, write it every day. Thank you. I love you. Woo! Great, everybody! Yeah! What a way to end the fourth session in the theater. From here, we're all headed to breakout. Go out to the theater up top. Take a right. We'll go through the Classic Center. You're in all the grand halls. There's 3 in a row and 1 around the corner. Everybody will transition to breakouts. We'll do lunch. We'll have another breakout. We'll come in here and got an action-packed afternoon with some awesome speakers. The COVID police are having a freaking fit right now. People are feeling unsafe. Make sure you wear your mask.